Hey everybody, just still getting set up here. Been a crazy morning. Apologize for starting late, but we should be good to go now, and we should be in good shape. So let's get moving. Get started here. Grab a little coffee, and we're ready to rock and roll. So there's a lot going on this morning, a lot, and we can address it. But let's just drop this link in here. And drop this link in here, and then we can start. All right, good. Good morning, Oscar. All right, let me grab a little coffee. We'll get going here. I'll go a little over today just because we're starting late, but there's so much to go over. So I just want to get through what I think is really important. Let's just go through this because I think that you have to understand what's going on here. So a lot of the sell-off is predicated upon the infrastructure bill and people starting to understand that there are provisions in there that will affect the regulatory issues dealing with Bitcoin and all crypto in general. That's not being perceived well. What I would argue is that it's there. There's nothing you can do about it. Crypto's not going to go away. Is crypto going to sell down based upon that? Yes, and it has. So what you're seeing, and this is what's going on with Bitcoin right now, you just came to the 50-day and tested. There's a support line right here. You could just hang here. This doesn't mean that it's going to have to completely implode, okay? So that's just something to consider. I would not be out there panicking with these positions. Make sure you hold the 50-day. If you don't, you could probably pull back down to like this 53, 50 level. This was my first level and we were holding it, okay? Now, the reason I'm going through this is I want to go through these names very quickly, and then I'll just start taking questions. But, this as well, breaking, realistically, you're coming to 4,000. I would not be buying in here. I'd be waiting for 4,000. And then what you're looking for is if that breaks, you're heading down here. So this looks a little bit worse to me than Bitcoin. If you go through the names, I'm going to go through a couple of them very quickly, and then we can go through others if you want to. But if you look at what's going on here, to me, I just think that this is almost going to be like a magnet where you're going to wind up going to this 46 level. Besides the SEC inquiry and what's going on, you're going to see these stocks come in. Now, you really saw this come in today, okay? And we seem to respect that 21-day moving average. So that's going to be fairly interesting to see how that plays out. I like how that's moving and what's going on there. So that's what I have to go over. Let's just keep going. Let's just start. Good morning, Oscar. Good morning, Arat. Hey, Cameron. Hey, Daniel. All right, let's get into it. LCID, Rblx, DDS. So for me, this is what I've been saying, that you can get to this level. Look, if I get rid of this, okay, this is your level. Okay, that's a gap fill, complete gap fill. I don't see any reason why you're not going to get there. I really don't see any reason, again, why this is not going to get there. It seems to me very clean that it can absolutely, get up to those levels. So just something to consider. Once you get through that, this could keep going. This could really go. Look, the news yesterday is very interesting with the Motor Trend Car of the Year and all the awards that they won. It's very interesting. Tesla didn't win those awards. Lucid did. So I find that somewhat fascinating, and I don't know enough, but I would tell you this could break out, these little breakouts and this base and the way that you're acting, this could keep going. This could keep going. This may not be over. So just something to consider. So RBLX, I like a lot. And I definitely think it's something to take a look at. For me, what you're seeing here happen with Rblx is you keep trying to break through these levels and you keep stopping, but eventually I think that you will have some kind of breakthrough. I think that will happen. And I think when you see something like that happen, that's probably where you're going to, oh, let me pull these over, this review here. I know this just keeps happening. Recently viewed, there we go. So it keeps happening where you keep trying to break out here and you're not able to have follow through. But I would look at this and say this is something that should be very interesting to a lot of people. It certainly is to me. And we'll just have to see how it plays out, frankly. We're just going to have to see how that, how that plays out. So I like it. I'm still in there. Still building this huge flag, right? I mean, if you take this out, you don't see the flag, but if you put this in, the pre and post, you can kind of see the flag, right? The flag's still there. So I like it. It's definitely one that I'm still in and I'm holding it. And DDS. Okay. So DDS, this just looks like a monster. I mean, I was trading it back here and I thought it was crazy. So, I mean, it's just been an absolute monster. I was trading this back here and it just keeps on going. So you're basically through every single level. I mean, this move's just staggering and it just looks like it's going to keep going. So, there's not much to say here except that, you have to kind of look at how you're acting on earnings. And this is how you acted on earnings, ran up. So let it walk its way up through that wick to make sure it clears it at this point. I mean, you could trade in here, but you really need to clear that wick before you put another trade on. That's my opinion on it. So, hey, Cobra, Microsoft Ford. Time for the nonsense this morning. All right. So you're back above the 8-day, which is what you want to see, right? That's exactly what you're looking for. So once you see that, right, and you see this little reversal here, right, you had 3 down days, right, and then you had an inside day here, came down, undercut, and now you're going higher. So I like that pattern. I think that this could work. I do. I think this could work, and I think it's something that people are going to have to take a look at and see how it goes. But I really do. I like it, and I think it could continue. I do. I think this really could continue. I think people grossly are underestimating the EV market in regards to not only new companies, but like Ford, BMW. I mean, like people are going to get new cars based upon this. They just are. So, and they own the pickup market, in my opinion. Ford owns the pickup market. I mean, Rivian's there, yes, and we're going to get into that because I keep getting asked about it. Rivian, yes, like they're definitely there. There's no question about it. I'm constantly asked this question, and I see it in the chat room already. This is just me walking through a trade we did yesterday. Let me clean all this off. So this is what I was getting at yesterday, and I put this in the top 5 yesterday. And if you don't subscribe to the channel, subscribe and click the like button, because what we go over is extremely timely. Our notification button, because what we go over is really timely. And if you're behind, it's not going to help you. Just FYI, why I'm looking at this one before we get into this, just look at Lucid. Lucid just got through that level that we were just talking about. So watch how it responds here. Okay, if it breaks through this could just be a really wicked day for that stock. So really positive day. Anyway, so here's where you're at, and this was the level we wanted to see break. We're already up here. I have a hard time telling anybody to buy this company when you're up 10% on the day. It's very difficult to do. Do I think it's going higher? I do. I do think it's going higher. I think it's going much higher than people think it is. So for me, yeah, I like it. And we've been trading it in and out of it on the in the trading room. Where can it go? Higher. That's all you have to think about. Higher. Do you think that people are mad or Had to clean my language up there. Do you think people are mad that they didn't own Tesla for the past 10 years and now they have the opportunity, and you don't think they're just going to throw money at this and leave it there for the next 10 years? Like, everybody's going to do that. Okay. And they may be doing that with Lucid as well right now. And they may be looking at Lucid and going, well, that's a $50 stock. I can buy 1,000 shares of that versus 300 of Rivian. And I'm going to risk 50,000, right? I mean, like, that, you have to think about how people actually think, right? Because it should affect your trading. And I can guarantee you that no one's going, oh, it's worth more than Ford. Nobody cares. No, nobody cares. To think like that is very limiting. So how much higher can it go? Much higher. That's how you should be looking at it. Good morning, John. Blink, SE, Microsoft. So Blink, as we know, looks like I was early on where I was looking at trying to get in. This move was really powerful the other day. Let me just show you this. So I think this is possible. And as I stated, I'll go a little bit longer since I started a little bit later today. And that's another reason why you should subscribe, because it doesn't always come out at the same time. And yesterday we had issues with the links. So unless you were subscribed, you didn't even know we were on. Look, I really like what I'm seeing here. And I think it can go. I really do. Maybe they're understanding how much it benefits from the infrastructure bill. I'm not sure, but this is really shaping up quite nicely. Now, if you get rid of, let's get rid of all these annotations for a moment, and let's just talk about this, right? So usually when you have these patterns, as you can see this with like FUBU or whatever, when you have that pattern, that doesn't go away. You usually base for years, right? It just kind of stays in there and bases. That's not what's happening to us here. What's happening to us here is that we're going and we're grinding. And what does that grinding look like? And what is that grinding doing for us? Well, we've gotten above this higher high, but okay, so that's not a big deal because we're not above here. And I know I'm spending a lot of time on this, but I'm doing it for a reason. Getting above this line and staying above that line is absolutely huge. And let me just click off all the indicators for a moment so you can get this and get rid of the data. So not only would we be breaking our downtrend, but now we're clearing a higher high, like a real higher high, not one of these little higher highs, right? Because there's magnitudes of support levels and resistance levels, right? We all know that. There's major supports, minor supports, but this is a major resistance level. And clearing this, it's just going to be risk on. I mean, you're going to look at that area, and then you're just going to work your way up to here. I mean, very, very simply, you're just going to work your way up to 60. I mean, that's what's going to happen. So it's definitely something that I'm interested in, and I'm paying attention to it very closely. So I know that was a long-winded answer. SE, you have to see how we trade, buddy. You got to just see how it trades. I mean, came out, crushed on every metric. You know, I drew this line yesterday to show people. Looks like I got stock located for a possible short. Let me see what stock that is. Okay. Pardon me. So 360, right? Look where you're at. I drew this yesterday. Okay. And look at where you're rejecting, right? Remember wicks are what? Price rejection. So I'm at the top end of this pattern, right? And you can kind of see where that pattern is. It's best to clone these lines and then just draw them after you clone them, because you really want the same trajectory, right? And that kind of tells you where you're at, and you kind of see how it fits right in there, right? So I'm at the top end here. So do I really want to buy here? Probably not, right? I probably don't want to buy here. So that's just something to consider. It's probably not where I really want to be a buyer, okay? So just something to think about. In regards to it, let's just watch it and see how it acts today. But I do like it. Hey, Doug, shop I like a lot. You know, I think a lot of people are looking at this and going like, geez, you know, oh, we ran up and then we came back down. I really don't care. Like, it's a $1,700 stock. You're going to have volatility. You just had a huge move up. You're going to have to give this time. So I look at it like this, and here, I just put it this way because it's just so much easier to look at this one. Okay. I look at this as this is a huge channel. Okay, this line was cleaner to me, so I drew that one. Now there's another channel here, a more minor one right here. Okay, and if you clone this one, you'll just see this pretty cleanly, right? Okay, so if I just move this one out for a moment, okay, and you just focus on that, now you're going to have to work your way through this level. But this is the weekly, and obviously we're not complete on the week yet. But I think it's just cleaner chart to look at. Let me just blow this up so you can see what we're talking about, Doug. So the question becomes, what do we do? Well, we just leave it alone. Like, that's not something that I need to act on. Just leave it alone. I did what I needed to do, right? I broke out. So that's the best advice that I could give somebody with it. And that's exactly what I'm doing with it, leaving it alone. We did well with options in it. And, you know, I just think it's going to be a home run. I covered that, John. Hopefully you saw it. Hey, Delu, good morning. What's up, Voss? Morning, Samara. Yeah, I mean, like, John, we've been doing it. So, I mean, do I tell you to buy it up 10%? No. I just walked through it. Hopefully you saw that. I know I'm behind in the questions already. Amazon, PayPal, Coin. Look, I'm not going to beat around the bush with this. I think this is silly that this is down this much on that news, on crypto. I think it's silly. Let me pull this up. Maybe it gets worse. Maybe it gets better. I don't know. So we're going to have to see. But for me, it's not something that, it's not something that, how can I put this? It's not something that I'm overly concerned about. So we're just going to have to see how it goes, and we're going to have to see how this plays out. To me, I think it's really important. Hold on one second here. There you go. Got rid of that. Okay. I think it's really important to understand where you're at in the chart. Like here, let me draw this out. I got a bunch of things clicking off. Just bear with me. So I'm holding this level, right? I held it here. I held it here. What am I doing? I'm holding it. So yes, I understand that this is essentially a bear flag. I got it. I understand this is a rising wedge. I understand we broke that rising wedge. Okay. That just means I come down to the low end of this. I don't know that you're going to get there or not. Maybe this gets worse as the day progresses. I don't know. But to me, this is a pretty attractive spot to buy it. It's definitely a spot that I'd be looking at. Hey, good morning, Rocky. Comments on QS. So you had a guy from Morgan come out last night and say QS is bad. Look, I don't really put a tremendous amount of weight into what any of these analysts say, because they all have motivations, and their motivations might not be in line with what's best for the consumer or the company. They have investment banking departments. There's reasons why they say things that they do. They have proprietary trading desks. They have all kinds of stuff. So it's not something where I would be out there acting on. For me, I think it presents a huge buying opportunity that we didn't have yesterday after being up at 43. So today I get to buy it at 38, and it's definitely something I'd be looking at adding to this morning. There's no question about that. So let's just keep going. Amazon. I mean, I'm like, Amazon's in the middle of a range. I'll just spend a second on it. Like, there's really nothing to do here until you're through this level, like zero to do until you're 235. PayPal looked like it could actually loop and turn around. So PayPal looked like it could have done that. And we had this level of 208.20 we were watching. We broke through that, and now we're grinding. You'll probably go to the top of this bar, which puts you at 223. What you do there, I have no idea. By the time you probably get there, the 21's probably there. And then we'll see if we respect it. But there's a trade there probably still. There's some meat left on the bone. PABS and DLTR. PABS I don't have. Now, Dollar Tree had a great quarter. I mean, there's not very little to say about that. Let's kick this out. Okay. And this is what happens with trades like this. you now have a new range that's been established. You have the volume, you have the momentum, right? And now you have a new range. So essentially, these companies are crushing it because they're raising prices due to inflation. But 2 out of 3 companies, they just came out and said this, are raising prices higher than what inflation is doing. So just because they can get away with it right now. So it's something to consider. I wouldn't touch this until it got over 31.66. But this is the kind of pattern, you see this pattern all the time, right? How many times have we seen it with Crocs? I mean, we see it all the time, right? You break out and then you go. You just have to watch them. It's a great pattern and definitely won the play, but you needed to break through that level, Dawu. Oh, that's funny. Crocs is right down there. You just asked for that. Maybe that's where my head was. You can't really buy this because you're near the upper channel. And the other thing that I would argue, and I would be careful of, is this, right? And this is what I call a contracted divergence versus a, glaring divergence, but it's there, right? It's not as expansive. Like I look at divergences 2 ways. They're either expansive or they're contracted. This is a very slight contracted one, but you want to pay attention to it. And sometimes it's easier if you can if you're looking at a chart like this and you're really trying to see it, you can just do a line chart and it makes it a little simpler. So let's just keep going. Tilray bought 14 weekly calls. Yeah, close them. Close them. Get out what you can get out of them and move on with your life. I mean, it's really that simple. It happens. It happens to all of us. The great weed move again. I mean, it's like the banana in the tailpipe. Like maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. But I can tell you that more money's been made betting against the runs up on these names than's been made betting with them going up. So there was one I was interested in yesterday, and it just did exactly what I didn't want it to do, and I didn't get involved with it. It just collapsed right through the 200-day. No reason to get near it. No reason to do anything. So I get out. I mean, I don't think I could be clearer on my opinion of that. QS we just did. Hey, John. Axon. AXON. I mean, you're rolling, right? You're kind of rolling here. This is another great example of an RSI divergence, right? It's kind of, you don't really see it because you're in the middle of the range, but there it is, right? So, so the question is, what do you do with it now? I mean, I don't think you can go near this. Hopefully you hold this level. You can see the bearish engulfing right there. It's not something I would touch right now. I'd wait a little bit, let it play itself out. Mara, I mean, just caveat, I'm short. I'm short Mara. We put a short position on last night in the trading room. To me, I think it was just glaring. Like when you broke that level, my hope was that I actually traded up so I could get more off. It doesn't look like I'm going to get my wish on that. So we're going to just have to see how this plays out. But yeah, I think that you're going to here. I think that you could really get to that level. Now, whether or not we do remains to be seen, but I don't know who in their right mind is going to be out there trying to buy this falling knife right now. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. So I would avoid that if that's what you're thinking. Snap, pull this up, snap, and start trying to get through these a little faster. So it's not something I would go near. So, I mean, you went right to the 21 and you rejected it. Tells you everything you need to know. You're curling here. I mean, you're trying to find buyers, but that's just not my kind of trade. So there's too many areas where I'm going to get stuck, right? If I break this, I'm going to get stuck here. If I break that, I'm going to get stuck here. Like I'm exhausted looking at it. We have resistance over here. Like there's too many better names. If you really want to just own the company because you like the company, buy it. The comps for this year, for next year will be great. It's just that I don't know why people thought the comps were going to be so great when you're in a pandemic and everyone's locked in their house, right? I mean, we weren't locked in our houses anymore. TNA, so people are going to get off the internet. I mean, it just happens. TNA. Let's do this. So 180, 108.44. You can see just kind of bouncing around in here. I don't see a reason to do anything with it. I think you're forming a wedge and that you could possibly break out. You're just going to bounce around. Like, you have a lot of economic data coming out this week, and I just don't think you're going to see people put money to work until they kind of figure out what they're going to do. So just keep that in mind. It's kind of my stance on it. I like it. TQQ I wouldn't touch here. Maybe on the pullbacks, if there are major pullbacks, I would buy, but you're not in a position here. We had a trade on this a while ago. Let's get rid of that. But you're at the top end of this. I mean, where are you going? You're going up to here, right? Maybe there's 6-7 points in it. Maybe, I don't know. I would watch it. I think it's very interesting to just look at this for a moment. We can do it here instead of the Qs. This was your breakdown, right? You never closed over 166.40. So if I wanted to tell you where I would be a buyer of that, a close over 66.40. So in other words, I would buy it maybe on the break, and then if I don't close above 166.40, I just blow it out, right? So, but you could probably trade to the top of that wick, but I don't see much more there. UPST, Shop, Disney. Shop I did. Hopefully you saw it. Disney, you just have to leave alone. So I've people have been asking me is this where you buy it? Is this where you buy it? To me, the answer is no. You have major resistances all throughout here. So if you're buying this, you have to be willing to allow this to assume that over time you can trade down to 137. If you're fine with that, then jump in there. But other than that, you're just waiting to go through the next resistance. I mean, or support rather. Like, look here. Okay. Once you're through that, where's your next one? Right? I mean, you're through every moving average. Okay. I mean, you just start seeing them, right? I mean, now you're in here. 137. So and people say it can't get back there. Oh, it was there a year ago. So I think it can get back there. I wouldn't be in a big hurry there. They have a lot of issues. They really did not align themselves properly with what's going on. Shop I did. UPST, I think, is an outright short now. I think it's pretty clear that it broke. And you're even seeing it this morning. You're seeing more follow through. I mean, there was a really easy trade. I just had too many other things going on. I'll just point it out. You broke down and you broke that level. You came back up, you tested the breakdown level, and then you just rolled again. And then you did it again. And then you just rolled again. So you can see where your resistance is, right? Right here, 243. And you just broke down completely. Absolutely and utterly completely broke down. I was hoping that I'd get a trigger on 266, and I didn't get it on Friday. And I sure didn't get it Monday. But I was hoping for a trigger and then a push to 300. What I wanted to happen and what happened are completely two different things. Shop I like, and I went through earlier. PFG, good morning. Do you think ATV could fill that gap and move higher? All right, so Dollar Tree I did. For time's sake, I'm not going to go through the same names because I'm already behind. I think it's becoming increasingly clear that the casino business in the U.S. is going to pick up. The question is, what do you do with this? I don't know. I don't know what your time frame is, right? If you're comfortable buying this and trading around for a year, go for it because it could work, right? But you're going to grind to this level and then you're going to stop. So you're looking at 10, 12%. That's how I look at that trade. You have a lot of resistance levels, but yes, it can continue to close the gap. Axon I did, Anna. Good morning, Alberto. QS we did. GGPI. Yeah, I saw this. I looked at their model last night. It's kind of interesting. It's actually a really cool looking car. This is trading on whether or not they're going to merge, right? As some kind of SPAC. I think there's more to this than me just pointing at a chart. I could be wrong, but this is not something where I can really comment. The only thing I could really tell you is that by looking at this, you probably just want to, wait for that to clear. And then if that clears, then maybe it continues to go. That's really what you're looking for there. So CLF. So CLF, what we're seeing is you're getting to the 2651 and you keep rejecting. Look, you had your day, you had your day in the sun, right? You came out with the infrastructure bill and it ran up. This is not shocking. When people start reading the infrastructure bill and understanding it more and more, this is what happens. And they understand that it's always the same thing. Everyone thinks that these companies are going to make all this money because of it, and then they realize that it's not. So same thing, same soup reheated over and over again. But I don't think that I wouldn't chase that, especially breaking the 50-day. UCO. Crude oil. Yeah. I mean, like, look, you can see what's going on here. It's trying to hang in there. I don't know what oil does. I really don't. So I'm not really sure. I would imagine it's going to grind higher into the heating season, but I wouldn't buy that. If I was to buy oil and crude, that's not something I would buy. The 8 and the 21 crossing here failed to go higher, reversal bar here, testing support. Maybe we curl and go higher. It's possible. It's done it in the past, right? But I would wait for more of a signal. CF, where's the stop for CLFT? I mean, for CLFT, you're through every. I'm assuming it's CFLT you're asking about. You're through every single resistance and you're through everything. Like if it broke. This is your break. Okay, it's pretty clean. Like there's zero reason to be in this, in my opinion. You're gonna maybe you base here and then go higher, but this is such a thin name. And look at the dumping yesterday. Like that dumping just encapsulates any of this buying. It's the exact opposite of what you want to see. I don't see a reason to be in that trade. So, yeah, I mean, like, look, let's talk about this. I actually think they're going to have a great quarter, and it doesn't really matter what I think because we just don't know, right? So, what I'm focused on is, are we going to have that great quarter, or are we not going to have that great quarter, right? We just don't know. This is where we're in from the newsletter. So, we're up enough that I have enough of a cushion that if you want to take a shot with earnings, you can, right? So I think one of them were up. I don't remember. I'll tell you in a moment. Like one's up from here to 14. So from here. So one you're up like 40% on. The other one you're up like 30% on, right? In like a month and a half. I think you have to see. It depends on your risk tolerance. If I had a huge position in it, I would not be buying it before earnings. I would leave my position alone if I was up on it. Understand I have a cushion, and then wanting to see how this plays itself out. That's what I would personally be doing with it. That's how I would personally play it. So I would not put myself in a position where I'm adding in front of earnings. It's not me. So I'm going to have to start jumping to the front here and move faster. LCID, yeah, I got to the level, Terry. I like it. I do. AMBA. Yep, let's do AMBA real quick. So here's your breakdown, and then you go, and this is where you're at. So yeah, I think you look great. I think you look great if you can hold in here. And then maybe you flip this level again. But until that happens, you can't really go near it. You're going to have to kind of wait. So, ladies, we just broke the downtrend. Why buy that when you could buy NVIDIA? Right? I mean, this is what they thought of the move, right? This was the announcement. Okay, maybe it cycled through. Usually that's what happens. When you break down, you have day 2, you have 2-3 days of this. That's what you had. Maybe people are starting to understand it now. You might want to just wait to make sure that you get up through this before I'd look at it. Anything else would just be a trade. Coin I did. Maybe you saw it. Roblox I did, and TTD I did not do. You can go back and watch these and just put it on like 2x speed, and then you can see the watermark and then stop and get an understanding of where they're at. If you come in late, just in case I don't have time to cover them again, which it doesn't look like I will this morning. So 97.28, right? That was our level. We broke that. We put a position at 98.50. We took out an all-time high yesterday. I mean, I don't see reason to do anything. I think it looks great. Let's just leave it alone, right? 97. Let's see what happens. I don't see a reason to do anything, like nothing. So just leave it alone. ATVI, IIPR. I wouldn't go near this. This is not something I would buy. Oh, let me do it this way. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I think you had a short-term trade. There's a short-term trade right here, right? After you broke 67, and then you never broke down here. You did what you were supposed to do, and now you're grinding higher. I mean, you could get to the 77 level. That's possible. You have some resistance points here at 74 and 76, Laura. So I'd watch those levels. IIPR. Monster. Looks great. Looks absolutely great. This was the spot to buy it. And then you broke, and then you went above, acted amazing. And it just continues to grind. We had a trade on this, and we just got caught in this and got stopped out. Made some money, but this is really what I was looking for. You can. I mean, you're gambling. I have no idea how that economic data is going to come out. None. So Sophie, I would just avoid. I mean, you have to avoid Sophie until that deal prices. You have to. UPST, I did. Hopefully you saw it. NVIDIA, I did. CELH. I mean, you got to avoid this. Like, just avoid it. Like, it's just bad. It's like really, really bad. It's like you need to hold the 200-day bad. Okay, there's a trend line right here. You need to hold that. And it's not even that great because it's already been broken once. So you really need to watch that. Let me just jump ahead. SOXL. Let's take a look at that. SOXL. So I like this. I still have a position in it. I put a position on yesterday. Looks like we're down $1 this morning. I still like it, and I'm going to continue to hold it. I'll see how it goes today. I mean, if it gets hit and I get hit on my stop, I'll be out. But I like it. I still like it. I think it's a great way to play NVIDIA's earnings. So you have exposure to it without having total exposure. I just think it makes more sense. So that's kind of where my head is with it. Now, in regards to Exxon, let's go. Maybe I did. That's possible. Let's take a look here. AXON, and I'll stay for a couple more minutes. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have this in. I don't think. These are your levels. I mean, obviously, this was an earnings move. Is that what we're dealing with? So, yeah, I mean, there's not really much to say. Like, here was your downward trend line, right? And you just completely reversed on earnings. I mean, it's not something that I would chase. If I was going to chase it, I have to clear this level. That's a big move for me to chase. But 212.37 is what you need to watch. Okay, that's what you need to watch, that level. And maybe you can get through it. but it's not something other than that I'd be, rushing into. And let's just keep going. I think 61 and a half. I have to go back and look at my records. I mean, if it breaks 61 and a half, whatever yesterday's low is, if it breaks yesterday's low, I don't want to be in it. Morning, ZW. PAGS. PAGS. Someone else asked me about a symbol like this. Yeah, I mean, I just don't see any reason to get involved with this. You still have this downward trend right here. So maybe if I break that, you could get involved. Hi, Sandy. XPEV. Yeah, I mean, there's your level. It just seems like it's not getting the attention. Now, it seems like Rivian's getting the attention. Lucid's getting the attention. It just does not seem like, the other names are getting that attention. So something to consider. They just don't seem like they are. I would focus on the ones that are getting attention. JKS, like JKS, yeah, I mean, could it move? But everyone's really buying this one, aren't they? Right? So maybe look at that one on pullbacks. You have to follow where the money's going. If the money's going into Rivian and it's going into, Lucid and those kinds of names, and you just kind of have to flow with it and go with it. That's the best advice that I could give. Don't buy the secondary names, buy the main names. Knee. I mean, you're breaking out. I want to see a clear breakout of this. We've had too many times, like big follow through on that. In regards to leaps on this, would I buy leaps? I don't know, John. I mean, what's your time frame? Like, are you willing to sit for 2 years? Like, if you're willing to sit for 2 years, go for it. It'll trade back up. It's just going to take time. They're going to have to. You're going to go through the whole probably divesting what happened in Macau some way. They're going to lose money there somehow, right? I mean, the Chinese government made that pretty clear that they want a stake in the company. So there's only one way that you're going to get a stake and stay in the company, right? So something to consider. And I think then you could trade to this level. I do. I think you could trade to that level. Oh, you're welcome, Sandy. Oh, you're welcome. All right. I'm going to wrap this up. Any questions, reach out to me, just email me. Some people don't like talking in here about specifics. So if you have questions, just reach out to me. Everybody have a great day.